So let's get started. Are you guys ready? Are you ready to begin? Good morning, Diana. Good morning, Deb. Hello. All right, so let's go to our first page here. And voila. Okay, so as we all know, Mercury Retrograde is ending tomorrow. So how many of you are glad that the Mercury Retrograde is almost over? And for those of you who are watching this as a recording, you may be watching this already when Mercury is direct again. So, but feel free to still answer questions and participate even if you're not here live. That's always useful. All right. And then how many of you have personal planets or points in Pisces or Virgo? Since we're going to be talking about the full moon in Virgo, Pisces. Kathy has some. Okay, very good. Anybody else? We've got Mariana raised her hand as well. Okay, Francesca, yes, all of that. Yeah. Very good. Okay, so we have a bunch of you who are definitely going to get some benefits today. So first of all, of course, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me. And thanks for watching this as a recording if that's what you're doing. And I just want to say a little bit about myself. So those of you who are new to my forums, I'm originally from Austria, from Vienna, and I grew up there. And then I moved to the United States in 1994. And so I've been here ever since. So for quite a long time. And I've lived in New York for a really long time, but then I moved to Chicago and now I'm in Pittsburgh. So all over the map. And I enjoy doing my astrology, as you all know. I love it. And I've been doing that since, the 90s, mid 90s. Yes, really since 94 and 95. But then in 1997, I started training more profusely with mentors and with courses and stuff. And then in 2005, I got certified. So anyways, that's a little bit about me. Some of you may all know, hi Karen, good morning. As some of you may all know, is that things are shifting a little bit in my business because of my personal life. And so if any of you don't know what I'm talking about as I'm saying that, please feel free to reach out. And actually there will be some attachments also in the emails with everything that's changing. So feel free to take a look at those attachments in the emails if you have questions. Definitely reach out and ask me about it, okay? All right, and then let's see. Today, of course, we're going to talk about Mercury going direct tomorrow at 28 degrees of Aquarius. It will be late in the evening, which means for those of you who are in Europe, it will already be on March 10th and in the morning. And let's see. And then, of course, the super full moon, we want to talk about that, right? Because that's a big, big full moon that we're all interested in. We all want to know what it's about and how can we navigate the next 2 weeks in these big waters that we're in currently right now with, the Pisces energy and then, Mercury going direct and then the Virgo stuff entering the picture as well, which we're already feeling today, right? Because of course, Virgo already is, the moon already entered Virgo today. So we're already feeling the full moon energy quite fully, right? Does any of you feel it already? I mean, I'm certainly feeling it, but I don't know if anybody else is already feeling that Virgo energy of like, it has to be exact. It has to be well done. And we got to get this right. And, like just kind of like this mental blah, 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 blah goes on in your head, right? All right. So hi, Tanya. Thanks for joining us today. All right. So there's a good amount of people today. That's really wonderful. So for those of you who already have done these forums, you know that I can't pull up people's charts if I don't have your chart yet, because that will take too much time. But if I have your chart, it's in my files and I can probably pull it up. If I don't have it, then you can always ask questions that are where you can tell me exactly what's going on in your chart, and then I will try and do my best to answer it that way. I would like to align the questions with what we're covering today. So if that's a possibility, then please make that happen. If there's a question that's a little bit too involved for me to answer, because it's either too personal for you or it's too long to answer, then I will ask you to book a reading with me. And I hope that makes sense, just to honor everybody's time. Okay. All right. So are we ready to go, guys? Tanya is saying, I have felt this pressure of Virgo for the last few days. Okay, you've already been feeling it. Yeah, so you might have felt something else too besides the Virgo, because that only entered Virgo today, the moon. But you might have felt the Capricorn, all that Capricorn stuff. That's a lot of pressure too, right? So yeah, that's I've been feeling it as well. All right, so let's go to the next screen, which is our overview for March. So I hope you guys can all see this. This is the planetary overview for March, and all of you should have that as well from the email that I sent out yesterday and this morning. There are a bunch of attachments in those emails, and one of them is the overview for 2020. And of course, since it's the beginning of March, we're going to mostly cover things that are going on here. And actually, we will not even be able to cover everything for March, because there's so much going on in March that we'll have to cover some of that in our next forum. So hang in there, join us again next month, of course, if you can. Today, we're going to focus on, what I already said. But I want to just point out to you, if you've seen this for the first time, these overviews give you sort of like a day-to-day, or like whenever the most important things are happening that month, it will show you what sign they're happening in and what it is that's happening, right? So today, for example, we have the daylight savings times begins in the United States, and actually also in North America, I should say here, because it's Canada as well. And then Mercury goes direct tomorrow on March 9th at 11:49 p.m. And that halts at 28 degrees of Aquarius, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And then, of course, the other thing that we also want to talk about with that is that the post-shadow phase begins. For those of you who joined us last month, you know already a little bit about the shadow phases, which is at the beginning, before the retrograde phase starts, there's a shadow phase, then there's a retrograde phase, and then there's a second shadow phase after Mercury goes direct, because the second shadow phase is basically the third time that Mercury goes through that same territory that it's already been through when it went through the first shadow phase, when it went through the retrograde phase, and then now as it goes through the third shadow phase, the Mercury travels through exactly the same territory, right? So 28 degrees of Aquarius until 13 degrees of Pisces. So that area, 28 of Aquarius until 13 of Pisces, that is the territory that Mercury traveled through 3 times. And the reason why these retrograde phases are important and powerful is because it gives us a chance to really take a look at what needs to be really integrated very well, and what do we have to look at more carefully in that area of our lives, right? So wherever that's going through in your birth chart, and we'll take a look at that, of course, as well together, wherever that's in your birth chart, that territory, that is an important place to look at in your life, right now, and to see, okay, where are some of the things that I am needing to review or need to look at again. And now that Mercury is going direct tomorrow and moves forward, now we can start to move some of these things forward that we've been contemplating and kind of digesting during the retrograde phase. Okay, so everything that's come up during the first shadow phase and during the retrograde phase, now we can start to actually move forward, right? Because with Mercury direct, there's sort of like the energies, like now it's like, yes, okay, I'm ready. Like I've done the work, I've looked into it, I've really made sure that my inner world is in alignment with the outer world, that it's all in perfect unison, and now I can start to take the action. right? So it's just a way for us to slow down a little bit and to just kind of get present to what's really in alignment with ourselves, right? That's what the retrograde phases are for. They help us get realigned basically with the outside world, because if we're only focused on the outside world and we're not checking in with ourselves, then very often what can happen is we can start to, lose the connection between what's going on in the inner, I call it the inner universe, right? Because that's the inner universe, what's going on inside of you. And then the outer universe, right? Which is everything outside that you can see and perceive, right? Or sense. Now, so that's why these phases are very powerful. So the other thing, of course, we're also going to be talking about is the full moon, supermoon, because supermoons are extra powerful full moons that really get us to kind of, it shakes us up a little bit, right? It gives us like an extra, like, hello, awareness jolt, so to speak. And of course, since Venus is also conjunct Uranus at the time of this full moon, that's another awakening aspect. So this full moon has definitely a lot of awakening power and awareness power in it that gives us a chance to really get very clear about what needs to happen next, and because Mercury is going direct on the same day as the full moon, we're definitely being invited to create more clarity and more discernment around what it is that we really want to take care of and what it is that we want to move forward with, right? And because there's also so many planets in earth signs at the time of the full moon, we have all this stuff in Capricorn, we have the moon in Virgo, then we have the Uranus and Venus in Taurus. So you can see how, these are all earth signs, right? There's a ton of planets in earth signs. So we really need to align our physical being, right? That's our physical body. It's our physical environment where we live, what we interact with, our places in the world that we're trying to connect to and manifest, goals, things that are of earthly consequence or of earthly interest, right? We're all trying to align that with that Pisces energy, which is our soul. It's our higher self. It's our dream. It's our connectivity to a higher place, right? To our intuition, our intuitive self as well. So we're trying to connect the dots here between all this earth stuff and that more spiritual stuff. All right, so Deb is saying here that this was the best Mercury retrograde for me ever in the sense of introspection, so I feel very grateful for that. Yes, I can imagine, and I actually felt the same way. If you have actually been able to move with that Pisces energy, because Mercury was mostly in Pisces during the time of the retrograde phase, if you've been really able to tap into that Pisces energy for yourself, then this retrograde phase would have been a very powerful introspection. If you've not been able to do that, if you've been too busy or too preoccupied with other stuff, then you may have felt, maybe a little bit more something else, which is more, the more denser vibration of Pisces, which could be anxiety, or it could be feeling separate or feeling alone, feeling isolated, things like that, right? Okay, so Karen is saying meditation has been key for me in this cycle. Yes, great, good for you. Yeah, and if for those of you who follow my forecasts, right, and who do the forums or who've seen my videos, if you really align yourself with that information, it's so powerful, because knowing that you're not fighting the energy, right? You're not going against what's already there. You're really allowing yourself to move with what's required in the moment. And being present is so important these days, right? I'm sure you all have noticed that when you're not present in the moment, things start to become very overwhelming and become very uncomfortable, right? And that's when the suffering begins. When we are able to be very present right now, that's when we're really able to get things done, and when we're able to, you know, be in a peaceful place with ourselves and the world, right? So Mary is saying I had the best and the worst. Okay, sorry to hear that. Yes. And yeah, and of course you can experience all of it, right? You can experience the higher vibration and the denser vibration of that energy. And you know, we do often in life, and this is something I just know from my own experience, you know, there's waves, right? We go in waves sometimes, and sometimes we're on top of the wave, and sometimes we're underneath that wave, right? And everything in between, you know, where we're trying to kind of go up and down, you know. And the thing is, you know, you just have to try and do your best, and remember to come back to what you know about the energies, right? So if you know that you're being in the denser vibration of that Pisces energy, and you're experiencing that overwhelm and that disconnect and that suffering in some way, right? Then remember what the Pisces energy is about, and do whatever you can to connect to that lighter vibration of Pisces, or facilitate your environment in such a way that you can feel supported with the Pisces energy, right? And I write about that in my blogs, and I write about that in my videos. And so you have all that material that you need to really connect yourself to that more higher and lighter vibration. So just remember that when you're in that wave place where you keep dipping down, you know how to get back up, right? You know how to do that by simply using the energy at its highest place. And also remember to be kind and gentle with yourself, right? I mean, this is so important these days. There's nothing more important than allowing yourself to have a healthy relationship with yourself, right? Like where you're really trying to be kind and compassionate with yourself, because that is really key for you to be able to get back also into these higher vibrations, right? All right. So let's get started with our charts, right? So are you guys ready? Do you guys have your chart? Everybody has a birth chart in front of them. So you guys remember, it's going to be on a different day next month. So make sure you mark your calendars for that. And thank you so much for joining, whether you watch this as a recording or whether you watch this live. I appreciate that you took the time to be here with me. Thank you so much. Much love to you all. Have a good one. Have a fantastic full moon tomorrow. Have a fantastic Mercury direct sprinting into a forward movement. And yeah, make sure you get enough rest in between as well. Okay. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.